This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
A central Indiana school is already putting plans into action after a student tested positive for COVID-19. And on a global scale, we're seeing a record number of new cases. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Mark Mullins. According to the World Health Organization, 239,000 additional cases of COVID-19 were reported today. The Indiana State Department of Health reported 912 new cases in the state and 19 additional deaths that took place between June 25th and yesterday. The average positivity rate for coronavirus tests taken over the last week in Indiana is 7%. And the latest count shows 865 Hoosiers hospitalized with COVID-19. Today, during testimony on Capitol Hill, Dr. Anthony Fauci shared cautious optimism about a vaccine.
There's never a guarantee that you're going to get a safe and effective vaccine. But from everything we've seen now in the animal data as well as the early human data, we feel cautiously optimistic that we will have a vaccine by the end of this year and as we go into 2021.
Fauci and other health officials stress that wearing masks, social distancing, and practicing safe hygiene are the keys to getting the country back on track. Today was the second day back in school for Greenfield Central students that chose the in-person schooling option. And a group of students have already been told to quarantine after another student tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. We knew that we would have to institute these protocols at some point. We just didn't think it would be on the first night of school.
Just hours after students returned for their first day back at Greenfield Central Junior High Thursday, parents received an email saying a student tested positive. The superintendent says contact tracing is underway based on the student's classes and schedule, and a group has already been told to quarantine for 14 days. The district was notified by the health department. The superintendent says this is a reminder to keep kids home from school if they've experienced symptoms, been around someone who has tested positive, or if they're waiting on the results of a test.
There are things that we've written out very clearly in those reentry guidelines. I think we're just going to have to continue to educate people about those expectations, because this entire system we've put together to reenter our schools only works if we do our part to maintain a healthy environment for our students and staff, and parents do their part in terms of the self-screening of their students each day.
The protocols laid out by the Indiana Department of Education earlier this month say students should be kept in smaller groups and teachers should assign seats to make contact tracing easier. But Greenfield Central superintendent says smaller groups at the junior high level isn't possible since students move from class to class. To see all of the state guidance for schools and students, click on this story on our website, theindychannel.com, and you can use the RTV6 app as well. Tonight at North Central High School, students and loved ones celebrated the life of Paul Logan, the school's athletic director who died from COVID-19 in April.
Just having the opportunity to celebrate my dad's legacy that he left truly means a lot to us. And during these crazy times, we haven't really had the opportunity to have the closure that a normal funeral has. And I think this is our piece of closure.
I want to thank the community for their outpouring of love during this time. It was truly felt.
Logan was named the athletic director of North Central in 2014, but he started working at the school in 1988. North Central has plans to dedicate a new gym to Logan, and a foundation started in his name will help athletes who are unable to pay activity fees for sports. New numbers show more than half of Indiana's COVID-19 deaths have been linked to long-term care facilities, but only 1% of workers at Indiana nursing homes have tested positive for the virus. The state tested 46,201 employees at long-term care facilities. 466 tested positive for COVID-19. That's 1%. Numbers also released this week show 60% of people who have died from COVID-19 have been residents at long-term care facilities. We asked the Indiana Healthcare Association about the numbers that they represent nursing homes. The association president says since the early days of the pandemic, availability of PPE and testing has improved greatly.
Because we did learn and got far better with dealing with the disease, making sure as PPE production picked up that we were able to access it through both some government sources, but through our own private procurement processes.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, facilities also improved their infection control protocols. State officials plan to test all nursing home workers again in August. So far, 12 workers have died across the state. Federal unemployment benefits expire at midnight for Americans who have lost work because of the pandemic. And now a record number of Hoosier families could be at risk of experiencing homelessness. The state's moratorium on evictions expires in just 2 weeks. RTV6's Megan Sanctorum found out how a Hendricks County organization is stepping up to help keep hundreds of people in their homes.
Paying rent and utilities is becoming increasingly difficult for many families in Hendricks County. That's why one organization is stepping up to help and working to prevent homelessness. This is Family Promise of Hendricks County. Located in an old church, this organization works to provide emergency housing and things like rent and utility assistance to those in need. And the need continues to grow. During the pandemic, they've typically been helping around 180 families per month. In July, they helped 308.
And the eviction moratoriums, the unemployment, the utility disconnects that weren't happening, all of those things have really helped a lot of people keep their heads above water during the COVID crisis. But what we've found is that as the months go by, the support is decreasing.
And they fear the crisis is only going to get worse. But they say thanks to a $100,000 grant from Impact 100, they'll be able to help hundreds of families stay in their homes through an initiative called the Powerhouse Project. Not only do they provide rent and utility assistance, but they give people the tools they need to succeed long term, like help with transportation and new jobs.
I have my pride back. I have my dignity back. I don't have the worries that I had before, the stress. I couldn't sleep. You know, I'm just sitting there, what am I going to do? How can I get through this next day? How am I going to get through these next 6 hours? What are we going to do? You know, and like I said, they gave me every tool I needed to get everything fixed.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
If you're interested in learning more about Family Promise and their Powerhouse Project, head to our website, theindychannel.com. That's where you can also find links to rent assistance programs in Marion County and the rest of the state. Congressional leaders plan to continue talks through the weekend as they work on another bill to help Americans with the financial fallout of the pandemic. The House passed a spending bill to extend aid nearly 2 months ago. Senate Republicans revealed a deal this week that would reinstate expired unemployment benefits at $200 a week. Democrats and Republicans appear to agree on sending Americans another round of stimulus checks. Let's get a first look at your Storm Team 6 forecast. We're tracking clouds moving across our area and what that could mean for the weekend. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is at his home studio tonight. Hey, Kevin.
Mark, how are you? As we step into the first weekend of August, we've got some rain around. Okay, as you see the showers now drifting to the north, you may be drifting off to sleep. These will continue to move from southern Indiana to the north and expand in coverage. And it's a little heavier, as you can see, down between Bedford and Seymour. Not expecting any severe weather overnight. As far as 7 a.m. tomorrow, spotty showers. It won't be blanket coverage, maybe a little heavier rain between 7 and 11, especially south and east of Indy. Temperatures tomorrow, we're stuck in the 70s, and you'll see that as a theme in the forecast. Thunderstorms become more likely later in the day, and watch some of these colors fill in. Another widespread soaking rain expecting. Some spots could see 1 to 2 inches by late tomorrow night. We're not done with the rain after tomorrow, but there are brighter days ahead in the 7-day forecast.
The downtown Indianapolis City Market is looking for a new leader. The market announced current director Stevie Stays will leave the position she's held since 2011. We told you earlier this month that business owners at City Market have been concerned about trash, large crowds, and open drug use in the area. IMPD leaders increased patrols in that area, but also recommended increased lighting and additional security. Those concerns were brought up during a meeting this afternoon. Businesses were also worried about making it through the pandemic because of a decrease in visitors. A statement from the City Market says Stays is stepping down to pursue other opportunities and spend time with her family. The statement says she tackled issues like food access and sustainability and brought the City Market up to 100% occupancy. Still ahead on RTV6 News at 11, it's a major decision that could determine what happens on Election Day. A look at the top contenders to become Joe Biden's running mate. But first, the tough lesson learned by a couple that wanted to go to a local company for a big move back to Indianapolis.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
I I really had a sense of trust, and I thought to myself, like, this would not happen.
An Indianapolis couple has moved back to town from California, but their new house doesn't feel like home without any furniture. They say a local moving company is to blame. They reached out to RTV6 for help. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker is getting answers and sharing their story as a reminder to do your research before signing an agreement with a company.
Yep, these are all empty.
Barren drawers and mostly empty cabinets match furnitureless rooms in Brian Bartunick's home. This is how the living room should look, but this is what it looks like now. It's where we did our interview.
Everything was supposed to be here sometime between the 18th and the 25th.
Those are the dates listed in the contract Brian signed with Beacon's Van Lines, whose parent company, Wheaton Worldwide Moving, is based here in Indianapolis.
I picked this specific van line, Beacon's, Wheaton Van Lines, a lot of because they are local here in Indianapolis. And I chose them. They were not the cheapest bidder for the job.
Brian says he and his husband can't just stay in a hotel because they have 3 dogs. Plus, that would end up costing them more money.
It's really disheartening to think that they put these customers like me in this position where you sign up for something and that it's substantially different.
Before signing any contract, you can look up a company online on sites like the Better Business Bureau or Yelp. They both let you read customer reviews and even see when companies reach out and respond if there's an issue. For Brian, it's a hard lesson he's had to learn, and it's one he doesn't want you to go through.
I hope they'll really do their homework and check into their reputation of the moving companies.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Well, A.J. Schneider, the executive vice president of Wheaton Worldwide Moving, did get back to us. He acknowledged the problem, apologized, and says they are working to make it right. Brian tells us that after we contacted the company, they reached out to say that they were going to pay for the move. The furniture is expected to get to Indianapolis on August 4th.
This is a problem then that will be still plaguing our economy decades from now if we don't find a solution to that educational problem right now, this fall, during this time.
We've been talking for months about remote learning and online options for kids to return safely to school this fall. But for some families, relying on technology is not an option. A new Ball State study shows that up to 85,000 students in Indiana do not have internet access at home. That's at least 1 out of every 16 kids. The study found that in many cases, students without internet access live in rural areas without access to broadband and urban areas like Indianapolis. Michael Hicks, the director for the Center of Business and Economic Research for Ball State, explained one possible solution to keep kids from falling behind.
I do think it's going to require the state General Assembly re-looking at how we deploy broadband, how we allow communities to help subsidize that. And at the same time, and this is a much more urgent problem, is to find alternative locations for kids to go to school. We have empty big box stores that could be converted to learning centers where Wi-Fi could be provided.
Some districts like Indianapolis Public Schools have been able to supply students with portable Wi-Fi hotspots. Several internet providers offer programs for eligible low-income households. You can find links at theindychannel.com/rebound. Schools and education leaders continue working on ways to bring kids safely back to school. One group that's offering advice says it has found an alternative to keeping students in the classroom or inside their homes all day. Amanda Brandeis shows you how they're thinking outside the classroom walls.
Hey guys! While precautions have changed, you're good. The philosophy here remains the same.
Our focus on the outdoors is even more critical now than it has been.
I'm 5.5. The Child Educational Center has spent decades developing a program centered around the outdoors.
It's everything. Children are happier, they're healthier. There are statistics that say the more time they spend outside, the fewer days they're out sick.
Ellen Veslock says the program is research-based. She says learning outside is not only beneficial for kids physically, but also cognitively.
It's not just young children that do better outside. There's a whole host of research about the benefits of nature for us as adults.
The center still had to make adjustments during the pandemic, like requiring face coverings and coming up with creative solutions like individual supply bins for children.
No one knew how to manage March through June.
Some schools are now turning to the Child Care Center for advice on how to embrace outdoor learning.
One of the things they talked about was what they could help their teachers do outside. If you're reading a chapter book to second graders, why not go outside to do that?
Here's the prime opportunity to pivot. I mean, it's a really great word because I think school districts could do some amazing things if they just reach a little bit and pivot in their thinking.
The outdoor education advocacy group Green Schoolyards America has long worked with school districts to transform asphalt-covered school grounds into park-like green spaces. They've launched a COVID-19 initiative to help schools develop cost-effective strategies to reopen outside, including online webinars, safety guidelines, and a 2-page summary for districts new to the idea.
Thinking outside the box and knowing that there's a different way to look at this.
Advocates believe the move could help heal trauma from months of isolation and learning from a screen. It would also help schools navigate social distancing requirements while reducing the chance of virus spread.
What lessons are we learning now from this pandemic that we can apply down the road?
In La Cañada, California, I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
Well, as we step into the first weekend of August, got to be honest with you, if you have outdoor plans tomorrow, just be patient. You will be interrupted at some point, and I think the chance for rain starts in the morning and lingers through the day. Rain and some thunderstorms. The severe threat is low. We'll talk more about that in a second. Heavy rainfall potential. The humidity's high. You could feel that today. There's a little broken area of rain between Terre Haute and Crawfordsville, then back to Indianapolis and east toward Greenfield and Richmond. That's lifting to the north. There's a little heavier rain south of that. Temperatures locked in the 70s, not just tomorrow and Sunday, but much of next week. 6 out of 7 days actually in the 7-day forecast are in the 70s. A very unusual start to the month of August. As far as the rainfall, the thunderstorms with the heaviest rainfall more likely in the afternoon hours and more likely from, say, Terre Haute to Indianapolis to Muncie southeast. That's where the heaviest rainfall will likely be. Temperatures struggle to hit 70 late morning. Thunderstorms developing to go along with the rain, and in those thunderstorms, that's where we get the heavier rainfall potential. I let this model run out, and it takes us through Monday because we've got rain more likely Monday once again, a good 2 inches plus in spots when you put in tomorrow, Sunday and Monday. And of course, you know how thunderstorms work. You could get 1 to 2 inches from a single thunderstorm. 7 a.m. tomorrow, spotty showers continues 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Notice south and east of Indianapolis where you've got some yellows and reds and representing some thunderstorms with heavier rainfall. A few of those could be strong to severe, but the severe threat right now seems to be greatest in Ohio toward West Virginia. Would have an isolated severe threat. If the sun were to come out, that would help build some strength on these storms. Winds out of the northeast, at least we'll have a breeze, 10 to 15 miles per hour. The rain chance diminishes Sunday, but it will come back up as we go to Monday. Temperatures, as you see on Sunday, a lot like tomorrow, perhaps a little warmer because we won't have the consistent rainfall. Monday is wet, 78. Tuesday, the rain chance diminishes, and look, Wednesday through Friday, beautiful. Marked temperatures in the 70s, lower humidity, and in the 50s for overnight temperatures. You can open the windows once again. Back to you.
I like the way you laid that out for us. All right, thank you, Kevin. Tomorrow, Pacers resume their season in the NBA bubble at the Wide World of Sports complex in Orlando. They take on the Philadelphia 76ers at 7 p.m. It's been almost 5 months since the Pacers last played. Indiana is in a battle with Philadelphia for playoff position. Both are in a tie for 5th seed. The Pacers are 39-26 on the season. The playoffs of this unusual season that we've been seeing are set to begin on August 17th. The Indy 11 have another home match tomorrow night. The team hasn't missed a beat since restarting its season 3 weeks ago, and they are closing in on a league record win streak. Brad Brown has a look at the 11's summer success in tonight's Sports Extra Spotlight.
Any thoughts of a slow start after a long layoff were quickly quelled by the Indy 11.
We've been trying to rotate the team, trying to keep everybody fresh. And so far, the guys have done a really great job in getting good results and picking up the wins.
It's been an amazing opening 3 weeks for the boys in blue. 4 wins in 5 matches, all of it in a span of just 19 days. The squad has tallied 13 goals scored in their first 6 outings.
I think the team's playing with more intensity. More attacking flair, more creativity, and that's what fans like to see. That's what coaches like to see as well. At the same time, we're still defending well and keeping good possession of the ball.
Pasher stepping inside. Can he grab the extra points? Pasher!
Tyler Pasher's been perhaps the league's top player in July. His 96th minute goal last week at Pittsburgh essentially stole 3 points in the standings. Every night out, Pasher's drawing the full attention of the opposing defense.
As a forward, I know I'm good. It's going to come. The more and more I shoot, the more and more I have an opportunity to score. So I just kept working at it, kept pushing. I didn't really think about missing. I just thought about the next one.
From about the midpoint of last season, he's really done incredibly well. He's scored a lot of goals and created a lot of goals, and he's just continued that into this season and has really been doing well. Seems to be having fun, seems to be playing with confidence.
It's a sprint to open the revamped USL 2020 campaign. Indy already has 15 points in the standings. That's the best mark of any team in the USL's championship division.
It doesn't take so long to prepare for the opponent because we just played them, a few games previously. But in the long haul, it is hard to play a team 4 times because you get to know each other, you cancel each other out a little bit. So we'll have to make sure we're fresh and focused.
Home field has been a true advantage for Indy. 11 straight wins at home, closing in on the league record of 13 in a row.
The fans create a really good atmosphere, even in this time of somewhat of a lockdown. We're one of the few sports anywhere in the world that's allowed to have fans, and so we're really excited about that, and that helps us a lot. Within Lucas Oil, it's a great atmosphere, it's always very loud, and so that's been something that I think has been a big factor, is the support we've had from all our fans at home.
Here in Indy, we have some amazing fans, and the dedication from them as well as a supporting group to come and cheer us on, even with all that's going on. We appreciate it tenfold.
Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
We're expecting an answer next week to one of the biggest questions in the 2020 presidential race. Who will Joe Biden pick as his running mate? Joe St. George has the list of names that have risen to the top.
This is the Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C. It's where the vice president lives. It's where Joe Biden used to live. And it's where in the next week we expect to learn who Joe Biden wants to live here over the next 4 years. So who are the possible Democratic vice presidential picks? Well, there are a lot. You'll notice one thing in common, all are women. That's because Joe Biden has committed to picking a woman. On the list, names such as Senator Baldwin of Wisconsin, Governor Whitmer of Michigan, Congresswoman Val Demings of Florida. But who is Washington, D.C. betting on? Possible pick number 1, Senator Kamala Harris of California. She's a former presidential candidate, an African-American leader, but some say her record as a prosecutor could hurt her among some progressive voters. Possible pick number 2, Senator Elizabeth Warren. She's a household name, a progressive, but she's also an academic. Some worry that could be a turnoff. Possible pick number 3, Susan Rice. She's a former national security advisor under President Obama, but she's never held elected office. But if recent history is any guide, a candidate in the lead tends to go with the safe choice, while a candidate behind tends to go with a wild card to generate buzz. At the Naval Observatory in Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Well, get ready to binge. 7 classic black sitcoms from the 90s and 2000s will be coming to Netflix over the next few months. The list includes shows like Sister Sister, Moesha, and Girlfriends. The company shared the news on its official Twitter account for Netflix's Strong Black Lead. It launched Strong Black Lead in 2018 to amplify both black content and black creators.
Some flash flooding in Martin County, where we've had over 3 inches of additional rain from yesterday's 3 to 5 inches of rain. As this lifts to the north, Bedford, Seymour drifting toward central Indiana. Periods of rain through the day tomorrow.
We want to thank you for joining us for RTV6 News at 11. We hope you have a great evening.